Well, hello, and welcome back to the Chamber Vibes podcast. If this is your first time listening, welcome. Let me just give you a rundown of what's going on. So, I'm your host, Foster Garrett, Director of Marketing and Events for the Bedford Area Chamber of Commerce. And if you don't know what a chamber is, that's totally fine. Let me tell you. We are a nonprofit membership organization that strives to help the Bedford area prosper by serving, convening, and collaborating with local businesses, organizations, and people. And every week I get to interview a different chamber member to find out what they do and why they do it. And it's recorded right here in beautiful Bedford, Virginia, and broadcasting on Media Squatch Plus, along with around 20 other local podcasts. So download the app and tune on in. I also want to thank our sponsor, Gary Evans with Cornerstone Operations, for helping bring this podcast to you. Without people like Gary, we really wouldn't be able to do things like this. And this podcast is an amazing opportunity not only for our members to get the word out, but also for you as a listener to become more tuned in to our community. So I hope that you enjoy today's episode. And if you do, go back and listen to all the ones that come before. And we record every week, so we'll always have a new story for you. But I hope that you stick around and that this podcast is helpful for you to get to know the different businesses and services and resources and fun things to do right here in our community. I know that it's helped me a lot becoming more tuned into Bedford because I always come in thinking I know what we're going to talk about, and I always leave having learned so much more. It just enriches my experience living, working, and playing here in Bedford. But before we get to the actual podcast, I do want to tell you about some of the things we have going on at the Chamber. If you've been tuning in recently, you know that we've been very, very busy with our largest event of the year, the annual gala, and that was last Thursday. It went amazingly. It was such a great time, and we really, really appreciate everybody that joined us at that event and helped make it possible through sponsorship, volunteering, or just helping us get the word out. It is our biggest fundraiser of the year, but it's also a night to honor and celebrate our business community. So we always have our Excellence in Business Award ceremony that night, where we reveal the recipients of each award for the very, very first time. And the winners for this year, we had 23 amazing finalists, but the winners for this year are Southern Flavoring. They are our Small Business of the Year. Our Large Business of the Year is Virginia Furniture Market. Our Nonprofit of the Year is Anxious for Nothing. The recipient of our Agricultural Award is Whippledale Farm Greenhouse. The recipient of our Rising Star Award is Confident Equipment. And for the individual awards, our Employee of the Year is Michelle Crumpacker, who's the Administrative Manager for the Bedford Area Welcome Center. And our Boss of the Year is our very own Woody Watts with Media Squatch, where we're recording right now. It's Woody's place. So congratulations to everybody. Please join us in celebrating them as our recipients for this year. That might mean going and congratulating them on social media or visiting their business, buying something from them, working with them, going and checking out their website just so that you can be more aware of who they are. You'll see a lot of, hopefully you'll see a lot in the media about them this week and the next as we celebrate and congratulate them on this achievement. But yeah, we're really excited. To be done with our gala because it's a lot of work, but also we're really just excited to cash out the rest of the year on a very high note. We have a lot of great programming coming up in quarter four. In fact, next week on October 7th from 8:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. we'll be at the Bedford Library for a business roundtable. We do these in partnership with Bedford County Economic Development and Town of Bedford Economic Development. And our speaker this time is our county administrator, Robert Hiss. So if you want to come learn about all things Bedford from the top dog, come on out. It's a great way to network and to directly hear about the government focus areas for county government, some of the projects they have going on, and a little bit on how the county actually works. But I encourage you to come on out. That's a free event. So no slack off your back. We'll feed you. We'll give you some coffee. You'll make some new connections and you'll learn a lot. So I hope to see you there. Information about that event and all of our other programming is available on bedfordareachamber.com. We have a full calendar of events where everything is listed out. And if you want to learn more about anything that we do, you can give us a call. I will drop our phone number at the very end. So make sure to listen all the way through so you can call us and ask us about all the great things going on at the Chamber. But that's enough for me. Without further ado, please allow me to introduce today's guest, Ryan Steffen with the Bauer Center for the Arts. Welcome to the podcast.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Great. Thanks. Thanks for asking us in here.
Of course. Thank you for joining my podcast. How's it feel to be in the guest spot today?
It is very strange to be answering questions and not knowing what's going to happen.
Well, You know what's going to happen.
It's
all about you. You've got the easy job today. I'm the one that has to ask you the things.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, Ryan, tell us a little bit about yourself and then about your organization.
Sure. So I actually grew up in a small town in Indiana that was a lot like Bedford. I moved to Cincinnati after I graduated college. I was a high school teacher in Cincinnati for 21 years. I taught high school English, high school theater. Long story short, my husband wanted to come back home to Bedford. He wanted to help take care of his mom, Lucille Bogus, who is just turned 96.
Wow.
And so a few years ago, we decided to move here. He wanted to come home. A lot of you might recognize my voice or my name from Beals. I was their bartender for about 4 years. But I always had arts in my background. And so after being here, I was probably about a year. I personally was just looking for an arts outlet. So my niece and I decided to sign up for a class at the Bauer Center. I had done pottery in high school. I remembered it being really fun. So we just decided to take the class. I'm not good at it. I make very lopsided bowls. I'm very proud of my lopsided bowls. But it was good to, in a really dumb way, find my people. So while I was there, I ran into a board member who then trapped me at Beals a couple weeks later and said, "Hey, we've got a board position open. Would you be interested in being on the board?" So I joined the board. I was with them on the board for about 2 years. I resigned from that position to take over the communications coordinator and guest relations position. I did that and Beals for about a year. And then with Susan relocating to Florida and moving into our director of development and marketing position, I took over as the executive director.
That's so exciting.
So that's how I landed here.
Yeah. I think it's always interesting to hear where people are from that are not like originally from Bedford, and then how they kind of get into the place they are where they're working, because things always like they weave in and out, but things always come together and they fall into place in like a really interesting, fateful way.
Yeah, the paths are weird. I mean, and I will say from the very beginning, Bedford feels like home. Like I said, I grew up in a small town very similar to it. So it's nice. I loved living in a city for a while, but it's nice to slow down and be back in a small town where everybody does know everybody, where everybody's nice. I feel like everybody really wants to support everyone else in the town. And I love that feeling here.
Yeah. And I think that's something that's like really been present through my work with the chamber. Like I grew up here and I went away and I came back.
Sure.
And it's really interesting working here and living here as an adult, because I always felt like everybody knew each other growing up, but it wasn't the same because they're like family friends and you're like a kid and you're like, why are you in my business? But it's really nice as an adult, because what it means for our business community is we're always there as like comrades and like working for the betterment of our area and wanting to see each other thrive and partnering with each other and collaborating. And it just makes for like a really like great, prosperous community.
Right.
And I see that through the Bauer Center. You guys have great partnerships. You're often the people that are leading the conversation about things, about culture and about arts. And it's really cool. You provide a space where people can really come together and freely think and be creative. And
yeah. I mean, we have, you said it, we have so much going on there all the time. And I'm, it was a bit scary to step into those shoes and think, oh my gosh, how am I going to manage all these things? How am I going to do it? And you and I were talking right before about, I'm doing my first budget right now. And that is crazy when you start thinking about all the different moving parts that we have at the Bauer Center and how do we figure that out? What I found is it touches different areas of our community very differently. And I love seeing new people. I love seeing people kind of cross program. They'll come to an exhibits reception and then I'll walk through a classroom and see them taking a class.
That's awesome.
Or they'll stop by a booth when we're out at the fair. So it's nice to see those things cross over. But it's, we've just got a lot of things happening.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to have Susan still involved.
It is.
Seriously.
I mean, and I'm going to compliment her from the very beginning. She has laid such a remarkable foundation for the Bauer Center that stepping in that position now, it's like she built a framework that allows me to grow, but also has a solid foundation underneath it.
That's awesome. Yeah. When Kayla first stepped into the CEO role with the chamber about 3 years ago, we relied on Susan for direction and just foundation and all those great things, because she was CEO of the chamber for 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. A long time.
And,
So,
I call her every day.
yep.
We text or call or talk every single day. She was in visiting her family this weekend, so she was actually working out of the Bedford office or the Bedford Art Center on Monday and Tuesday. And I said something to her yesterday. I was like, I've really missed having you in this building. I didn't realize how much we talked back and forth until you suddenly weren't here, and a chat or a phone call or a Teams meeting just isn't the same thing.
It's not the same.
Yeah. But I appreciate her constant guidance. She never makes any silly question. When I think about them in hindsight, that's silly. Like sometimes I ask, it's like, oh, I should have just known that answer, or I should have just figured that one out on my own. But she's such a great resource, and I'm glad that she's still with us and doing, I think, the part that she loves. She loves development. She loves marketing. So it's great that she gets to fall into stuff that she loves to do.
Yeah, that's amazing. You guys have a great team too, Lauren.
We do.
Like your whole board. Everybody is wonderful.
Yeah. I mean, I feel that very lucky. Lauren's got great ideas. She's got great passion. Dottie is our exhibits manager. Has a great eye, a great network. She does great stuff with those galleries.
Awesome. Well, let's take it back for a second.
Sure.
And can you just tell us a little bit about the Bauer Center for the Arts?
Yeah. So Bauer Center for the Arts was originally the Bedford Art Academy. And we were paired with the Wharton Garden. And I don't know lots of the specific particulars, but about 20 years ago, we kind of separated as our own. So Dr. John Bauer purchased an old church on behalf of the Bauer Center. And then that is what has been renovated and has become, the big pink building in town. So over the last 20 years, we became a 501(c)(3) and officially Bauer Center for the Arts as its own nonprofit entity. We have our own board. We have a great board. And slowly over time, we've grown. So, I think it started with classes and exhibits. We've added outreach. We've added different events. We're trying to find all of those areas in our community where the arts can touch everybody. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, growing up here and as like somebody that's like creative at heart, I was at the Bauer Center a lot throughout my time growing up here. And my church is actually the original church that was there. So we would go there. They still go there for lots of events for Mardi Gras and everything. And it was always really interesting to kind of see the different aspects of the Bauer Center, whether I was taking like a summer class or going there for a workshop after school. There was a lot of different mosaics and stuff that I still have because I made them there. And it's cool because a lot of my friends who are from here, they have the same things because we were always at the Bauer Center. We were always making things. We were always learning things. I took drama classes there. There was always something. There was always something going on, the county art shows. And it's cool as an adult now seeing how it's really, really grown in a lot of different ways. You guys partnering with Harmony Day Support to bring people there to work with the arts. There's a lot of different education. There's concerts. There's a lot of cool stuff that you do.
Yeah, we do have a lot of cool stuff. You mentioned that it used to be a church, and that it's funny. Sometimes that's what literally brings people through the door.
Oh, really?
It's like, we came here because this is where my son got baptized.
Oh,
we came
that's
here
cool.
because this is where we got married, and we wanted to see what it looked like there.
Yeah.
And though I'm not from Bedford originally, I love that when you walk in that building, it's new, but it's old. So there is still echoes in every hallway and every space that still reminds you of its history. When you walk into that Sarah Broughton gallery on the main floor, it's still a chapel, and you can still see that it's a chapel. It just has been transformed also into a performance space and a gallery and an event space.
Yeah, I think there's like a sense of reverence when you walk into there, especially for an exhibit and seeing all the art and just having like that kind of wash over you.
Yeah.
Like space is really important. I think especially when it comes to the arts, but also community and building spaces where people can connect and enjoy themselves and just take it all in. Yeah. And I think the Bauer Center does a great job of that.
You talk about space. I think it's fun to walk in the front doors, which is the new addition put on just a few years ago. And it's very modern and very sleek. And then you walk up those stairs and you feel like you're walking back a little bit into history as you start getting into the older parts of the building. And I always tell people, they ask, what's your favorite space in here? And the answer is I have two of them. But one of them is standing in that lobby looking into the Broughton Gallery, which would have been standing at the front door of the church, looking into the church. Like, I just love looking at that space from that perspective. And then the second one, lots of churches, the community of a church happens in the basement. And that sounds really dumb, but it happens down there. And we've transformed those into both a gallery and a classroom space. And so when I sit in that classroom space, I'm thinking, I know that we create our art here now as a class, but there's been so much that has happened in this basement with people coming together, creating, building community. So I feel like we're just continuing that tradition on in a different, with a different look.
That is really awesome. I hadn't thought about that before. That is really cool. Well, what are some of the things that you have going on or coming up at the Bauer Center?
Lord. So,
I know there's a lot.
There's a lot. So, we have classes on a constant rotating basis. Those are available. You can look at our website. We have different classes in the evenings, in the daytime, in the on the weekends. If you're an artist and you want to teach, we're always looking for new classes and new instructors. So a lot of times it comes to the proposals that come to us. We're getting ready to open our National Juried exhibit next week. So that is beautiful. I've seen all of the images. The art all gets delivered this weekend. It's kind of a fun thing to get to watch. And then we have several concerts that we do throughout the year. So the big band of the Blue Ridge will be joining us on October 11th. They were originally at University of Lynchburg. I talked to their director who was kind of looking for a home. And I was like, the Bauer can be your home.
That's awesome.
So they are actually rehearsing at the Bauer Center, and they're doing one concert this year.
That's cool.
And then we're continuing it on next year, and they're going to keep rehearsing, and they've actually got 3 concerts on schedule next year. So the Bauer will just be their home.
Yeah.
And they rehearse on Tuesday nights, and I was there late last night, and it's great to sit in that office and all of a sudden just hear a big band explode in music, because it's trumpets and drums and horns. So it's really cool to see that. And then probably one of our biggest events of the year is in about 2.5 to 3 weeks. That's the Art of Pairing. Every year we come up with something to pair differently. This year it is the Art of Pairing moonshine and martinis.
Oh, wow.
So we're going a little classy and a little not so classy, and realizing that you can meld the two. I mean, we're literally putting together a moonshine martini. So if you want both of them together, you can have it.
Oh, that's going to be for a crazy night.
It'll be really fun.
Yeah.
So it includes a moonshine tasting, cocktails. We try to stay with everything local. So all of our moonshine tastings are going to be Virginia moonshine. Our catering this year is done by Neil Agee. He's working with Chapel Creek Farms. We've come up with kind of an interesting menu. So it's going to be build your own sliders and top your own gourmet mac and cheese.
Oh, I love that.
So he's going to have mac and cheese and sliders. And then he and I have talked for a while now about what are all the cool toppings that you can put on burgers and mac and cheese that people don't think about. So, bacon jam and Chapel Creek chili, barbecue chicken. So we've got all these cool ideas of like how you can top those items. And then Blue Lady has donated our entire dessert spread for us.
Really?
And if you know
That's
Jay,
awesome.
know Jay goes overboard with everything.
Yes.
So he was telling me yesterday, he's like, I just got my martini glasses in for the banana pudding. And I was like, that sounds amazing.
That's going to be so... What day is it?
This is October 18th. So tickets are $75 per person, $140 for a couple. We also have a VIP early entrance this year. So it has its own entertainment. It has its own hors d'oeuvres. It has an extra cocktail hour. And that's $100 per person. That starts at 6. The regular event starts at 7.
This sounds so much fun.
Yeah. And then the main entertainment's going to be Last Call Party Band out of Roanoke.
Yeah.
When I was looking for bands, I had somebody recommend them. I looked them up and I just fell in love with their style of music. And talking to them, they're just really cool about how, how they're going to be in that space. They came up to visit. They're like, oh, this is such an interesting space to play in. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a great time.
I love like the mix of like what you said about it being like a little fancy, but a little not. Like that's like with everything, like with the sliders and the mac and cheese, but you're elevating it. Like that's going to be so cool.
So martinis, but there's also a moonshine martini, and we're going to have, different cocktails that will be available. We do have a silent auction, also part of the Art of Pairing. So I have solicited artwork by local artists that they have donated, and we pair that with a bottle of wine or spirits, and that is the silent auction items. So
that's interesting.
When you buy your item, you get a piece of art and a party.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, and all that art is coming in right now. It's so gorgeous as I'm watching it come through the door, and figuring out like, so what spirit goes with this? What bottle of wine goes with this? What is its personality? And how do we best pair the art with its piece?
That is so intentional.
Yeah, I try to be intentional.
Yeah. No, I love that. Like everything about this event is screaming Bauer.
Yeah, that it is Bauer a little bit.
That is really cool. I love that. But you're kind of selling me on this.
Good. I hope to see you there.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to see.
I hope to see all of you there.
Yeah, seriously. If you're looking for something to do, if you don't have anything going on October 18th, this is the thing to do.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting. And this is your biggest fundraiser of the year?
This is our biggest of the year. We do raising drives. We try to solicit sponsorships. But this is the biggest one where we try to build a big party.
Yeah.
This will be the third one that I've been involved in. The first year was tacos and tequila. Last year was bourbon and blues. And then this year we're like, what do we do?
That's awesome.
And I'm going to give a little shout out to her. I don't even know if she knows this. Melody Divers and Johnny Divers from Chapel Creek Farms, who donated our brisket last year for the bourbon and blues, and also the beef for the burgers this year. They're the inspiration for this whole thing.
Oh, really?
Because I was looking at them at the table during the meeting, and I'm like, they're both. They're, if you look at Melody, she always looks fantastic, but she's got a little class and a little country all the time. And I know them personally, and like, they work a farm, they work hard, but they love a great drink and they love a great meal. And they will go to restaurants and have a great drink and a great meal, but they'll still wear the clothes that they are because they are who they are. And I was like, that's the perfect idea. That captures Bedford.
Seriously.
That sometimes we like the great stuff, but sometimes we like to stick with our roots.
That's awesome.
So Melody and Johnny, I don't think I've ever told you that, but if you're listening, now you know.
High compliments.
Yeah.
That is really cool. Now they're your muse.
Exactly. No pressure.
Well, if people want to get tickets, should they go online?
You can do it online. You can register through our events tab on our website. Or if you want to call or stop by the Bauer Center, we can take care of you during those gallery hours. We're open 11 to 3 Tuesdays through Saturdays, and we can take care of you any time for that.
Nice. Well,
or you can just email me. Contact me and I'll be happy to set you up.
Drop your email.
It's r.steffen@bowercenter.org. Steffen has 2 E's, 2 F's. Steffen.
When you said 2 E's, I was like, Stephen.
No, it gets misspelled a lot. A lot of people think there's an A. A lot of people think there's a PH.
Oh, you're preaching to the choir right now. Yes. When people see my name, they're like, Garrett Foster? Forrest Garrett?
Yeah.
I get called Mr. Garrett a lot.
Mr. Garrett. Yeah.
It's kind of fun, though, because like sometimes it's like, come on, guys, my pronouns are in my email signature.
Right.
But other times, like somebody will keep calling me Mr. Garrett over and over. And I'm like, okay, we're going to meet each other in person this week. And so I purposely put on like a pink skirt and like, I come in, it's happened before. I'll come in and I'm like, hi, I'm Foster. So nice to meet you. And their brain buffers a little bit.
Yeah.
But it makes it fun.
Yeah, it is fun.
Yeah. Well, art of hearing sounds amazing.
It will be. Yeah.
I'm sure with 3 years under your belt and 3 different awesome pairings, if you as a listener have an idea for next year or in the future for a pair, shout it out.
Yeah, let us know. Next year's a big year for us. So next year is our 20th anniversary. We've been talking a lot about what that means for us. One of my goals moving in, though I'm not going to say it wasn't Susan's goal, but one of my goals is I want to make sure everybody in Bedford knows it's the Bauer Center's for everybody, that art is for everybody. And so I want to find something that captures Bedford and everybody in Bedford for that pairing next year.
That's awesome. That's a lofty
I have
goal.
no ideas yet. So if you've got any, let me know because I got to start planning probably like October 19th.
Yeah, literally. That's how we are with our big events. Yeah. Right. Literally this week, we had our biggest event last week. And this week, Kayla's out of the office. She's not feeling well. I'm like, texting her. I'm like, dude, we need to go ahead and figure out the venue. We need to figure out date. We need this. We need this. But when you run an organization that tries to do so much, it's sometimes difficult to like look at all the things that you need to logistically get done.
Yeah.
And then thematically as well. And trying to hit all those things.
Yeah.
The 20th anniversary, that's a big one, though.
It's huge. It's big. You talk about the logistics, and I'm going to have to shout out to my board. I lean on them a lot to help me, especially when a logistic falls through the crack. I'm working on big pictures, and I'm like, oh, no. I don't have anybody to work the gallery on Saturday. And I know that there are people that I can call up and say, hey, can you help me out? And, that board is willing to jump in and roll up their sleeves and do the details, but they also love to talk about the big ideas. So it's been fun to have both of those, to set up the tables and chairs, but to also talk about like big philosophical ideas, like what is the purpose of exhibits at the Bauer Center? In our Heartworks area, what are the areas in our community that we feel like we need to target the most with art outreach? A lot of that program, which is just in its infancy right now, is trying to figure out how does art help our community. So we've got to figure out how it helps our community. And then we've got to figure out how do we build a program that we can take to our community. So getting connected with all of those different groups and showing them how art can help mental health, physical health, emotional health. I mean, it helps everything.
Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit about Heartworks?
Yeah. So Heartworks is officially kind of our outreach program. Like I said, it's in its infancy. So it started with us working through Harmony Day Support. So Harmony Day Support brings in groups to us about once a month. It started very small. So I've been there since it started. And I want to say that the first time they came, there were probably 6 or 8 guests that came. The last one that we had last month had 40 guests.
Wow.
It's magical because they're so joyful to get to create something, to look at the art, to talk at the art. We have a great core of volunteers, although we're always looking for more if that's your jam. If you want to come help that kind of population, we'd love to have that, but it's fun to have those conversations. We also go out to Centra Pace, and we go to their adult center. So we take our program to them. One of the things that we're working on doing is getting our healing arts certification and building a program that will address the mental health needs of people who are essentially have dealt with or are dealing with trauma, and using arts to help them through that. Looking at things like people who are grieving, veterans, PTSD, domestic violence and rape survivors. So trying to build a program that brings the arts to that population. That's actually a certification that I'm personally working on.
Oh, that's cool.
Because I don't have enough on my plate. So I might as well go
Just
ahead
another
and
thing.
do like a grad course on class.
Not a grad course. That's
grad
crazy.
course online. But the more I read about it and the more I dig into it, the more interested I am. I just went to a presentation at the Taubman on Monday, which was Your Brain on Art. So it was a book that was written, New York Times bestseller. One of the 2 authors spoke and was talking about how much art affects health and the research behind how art is helping health in all those areas. And it was very confirming to feel like we started doing the right thing. I walked away hearing the most significant thing I remember hearing was art helps in 2 different ways, and you need both of them. You need to consume them, but you also need to produce them. And I loved that idea of, you want to watch a concert, you want to watch a play, you want to go to a gallery and look at art. That captures one side of your brain or one part of your brain. But the other part is captured by creating, singing along at your favorite concert, dancing while something is happening, creating and working with your hands. So that's been the new discussion as of just the last week or so about how do we bring those things together for Heartworks. How do we bring that into that community? Because I don't have enough to plan.
Yeah. Well, I think it's really cool to bring people in through outreach, and that's kind of like the reverse of what people think when they think of outreach, like going out into the community and saying, hey, this is what we do, or bringing out art to them, but having people come into the space and be a part of it and helping them through that. And also this is some of the challenges we find through the chamber is we have these great ideas about things that we want to do and needs that we see through programming or through businesses or through job seekers, but our audience it can be limited sometimes.
Sure. So
finding organizations where you can partner with them and be like, hey, this is our vision. This is what we want to do. Can you help us?
Yeah, it's so funny that you say that. So Cab Kids is another one of our programs, and that is an outreach program that is clearly specifically targeted towards kids. So, it is things that you can do in the Bauer Center. It's also outreach booths. So things that you can do, like I'm going to the elementary school next week, and I will have a booth of things for them to do. But part of what we're building is some free family art days or very reduced family art days. So reduced price. And I just got out of a conversation about a week and a half ago with Cassandra at the Bedford Library, and we were talking about her programming and our programming and how, there's us, the Wharton Garden, and the library all together in one block. And how can we work together to create a whole pocket of arts and culture for families and especially kids. You said at the beginning that you remember going to the Bauer Center and you remember making works and you still have them.
I do.
And I was a teacher for 20 years. And I feel like over that time, I got to see the lasting impact of art because, my oldest students are now like 45 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Which is nuts.
That is crazy.
That they're that old. But I'm seeing them still go to theater. I'm seeing them be in shows. I'm seeing them guide their kids into auditioning to shows or seeing shows. So I'm seeing that lasting impact of they had art exposure early in their life and it's a value to them that they are now bringing and carrying on. And that's, my long-term vision with the Bauer Center is to carry that on.
That is incredible. That is really cool. And I think what you said about Heartworks too, like not only having to consume art, but having to create it and how it changes your mind when you do those things. There are a lot of people that I've had either like I've gone to an event of theirs or they partnered with us or they've been on the podcast and we've talked about these things like the Sedalia Center, the Living Arts and the Art of Living. Like that was such an interesting conversation and they do great work and it's like it, but it's targeted to their community. Right. But they're also in Bedford. So we're all kind of swimming the same path. And then Amanda Stanley with the Artisan Leader. I mean, a lot of what Amanda does is design thinking and how you can tap into the parts of your brain through doodling or what have you that allow you to kind of free think rather than sit there and rack your brain about, I'm trying to get to this place or I can see in our budget that we need to be here, but how do I get there? And it's really cool to see it kind of coming together in this way and everybody's kind of swimming like in the same lane and pushing that for our community. I don't know. I just think it's really,
I'm going to talk to you more about some of these connections. So I'm going to say this out loud. So I'm now committed to it. Okay. One of the classes that I'm trying to create that I would teach is just going to be creative dabbling. I'm not an artist, but I love to dabble and play in art. Like I said, I took pottery class. It's all lopsided, but I still loved it. It was the process that I loved. And so the class that I want to write is just for people who don't necessarily think they're artists. They just want to dabble. Like one day, let's do blackout poetry. If you don't know what that is, then let's do it. And then the next class, maybe we're going to pull out a box of oil pastels. I don't know what to do with oil pastels, but let's just play. Let's just figure it out. We don't have to be good at art to enjoy the process of art. And so that's a class that I'm looking at putting together and actually teaching, but bringing in some guest people to work with us. I've never crocheted or knitted. I'd like to try it. I might be terrible at it, but it might be fun. So I want it to be a low risk. Like, I think sometimes people are like, I don't want to take a painting class because I'm not a good painter. And I want to start with like, I'm not a painter, but here's some paint. Let's do it. Let's see what we can come up with.
I would please do that because I love art. I've always like been really creative. I've always I've loved doing a lot of different things. I'm not good at 3D art. Ceramics are not my thing. Pottery is not my thing. When I did mosaics at the Bauer Center, I got those pieces of glass stuck in my thumb multiple times because that's just me. But I love to draw. I love photography. I love film photography. I love the process of it. I love doing printmaking. I've done all sorts of like crazy things, but mostly it's been through my education where I have somebody telling me, hey, you need to do this, get there. And then I have that time and I really like to perfect it and make it look amazing and make it have meaning. But when you're working 40 hours a week plus, and you come home and you're like, I think I'm just going to cook dinner and relax or maybe go to the gym if I really have time. You don't necessarily have that time or that energy to make the perfect masterpiece.
Right.
And like, then you just get out of the habit of it. And like,
Yeah.
because art can be intimidating if you feel like you're not good at it.
And that's why that creative dabbling is fun.
Yeah.
Because like you can come in and we can play with oil pastels for an hour, and you could get to the end of the class and be like, I'm buying some oil pastels because I love this. Or you could get to the end of that class and say, I am never touching one of these again. This is not for me. And my hope is that, by just dabbling in different things, we can kind of figure out what does bring us that joy. And you never have to be good at it. I'm probably going to take another pottery class when I get some time. I'm not going to be any better at throwing on the wheel, but it's fun.
It's fun, and you get a little dirty.
Exactly. You have great conversations while you do it too.
Yes. I think that's also like, even if you're not good at something, like you can still make it fun, regardless of whatever it is. If it's art, if it's playing a game, if it's going out to a networking event, if it's doing whatever, you can find your joy within it and you can make it yours.
Yeah.
And I think the Bauer Center, it's such an interesting part of our community. When they painted the building pink, people were like, oh my gosh, a pink building in Bedford. Yeah. But now every time you drive by it, you just know what it is. Yeah. You know what's available there. It's a world of opportunity just to connect and create and be a part of something. And I like that you guys are putting together programs to reach people that aren't the typical individuals that will walk in the door of their own volition.
It's an intimidating building.
Yeah.
Like it looks scary, and people sometimes might look at it and be like, well, that's too highfalutin for me. But you will find when you walk in, everybody is warm, everybody is welcome, and we just want to bring the arts to you. It just so happened that we were given a beautiful building, and we work to make it beautiful.
Yeah.
Inside and out.
And you guys have been really working on the outside too.
We have been. So we just put in the new deck, which was dedicated in my mother-in-law's name. It is the Lucille Hoback Bogus Outdoor Learning Center.
It's amazing.
Hopefully ABC will be there next week. We will get that within our alcohol consumption.
Oh, nice. Now you can go out on the porch.
So we can sit out on the deck and have a glass
of wine.
I love that. But it's also just a place for people to sit. If you're walking through town and you want to sit down for a little bit, if you want to have a cup of coffee with a friend outside, it's a place you can just sit there. You don't have to come into the Bauer Center. I'd like for you to come in and say, hey.
That'd be nice.
But, it's also, we want it to be a place where the community can gather. We'll use it for some programming as well. But I think part of that goal was we just want people in Bedford to know it's a welcome spot and we want you there.
Yeah. And you've got the love sign on the back.
We do.
Or on the side.
Yeah.
And then what was the project on the back that you guys added on? So
that was part of our Camp Explorers.
Yeah.
So we do 5 summer camps during the summer. We've added an Explorer program, which is focused specifically on community partnerships. So we worked with like the Bug Garden. Garden is in their name. And Bedford Get Together. And those 2 projects that you're talking about were actually 2 specifically to them.
Okay.
So we had an old space in the back and we painted it and planted a garden. And those students worked with Bug about how to build a garden, how to work with plants. And then Bedford Get Together came and talked about the mural that they had put in Centertown, and led the painting of a mural that we put at the Bauer Center. So those 2 pieces together are actually products from camp. And one of the things that Lauren and I've talked about is I want so much more of that. Like the Bauer Center is a beautiful place, and I want to keep the partnerships working, but I want to keep bringing art to the spaces outside.
Yeah, I think that has been really cool to see over the past year, especially like I was there for the love sign installation. I think that was last year, maybe 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
2 years ago. Wow, time flies.
Yeah, it does.
But now you've replaced the stained glass window with a beautiful, I love what you guys have done with it. Yeah. Like it looks so cool from the back. And also the little garden, like that underutilized weird little space where there was like an oil tank or something.
Yeah, it was like the base of an oil tank.
Yeah, and now you've turned it into a garden. That is amazing. And I think it's cool to see the exterior transform and have purpose with art, because now people can even see like, this is some of the things that we can do here, and also partnering with other organizations on it. Like it's just, I've already used this word multiple times, but it's very intentional.
Yeah. We try to be intentional, and I'm trying to continue to be intentional.
Yeah. Well, Ryan, I feel like we're rounding out to the end of the segment. And we've talked about a lot, but do you want to touch on anything coming up at the Bauer Center?
We've got our next Cab Kids Day coming up on October 11th. That's going to be Opera on the James. They're doing kids programming, and then we have crafting afterwards. That night, we still have the big band of the Blue Ridge concert. New Standard Bluegrass is coming up in November. I would say Win Creasy and CW Markham have their Christmas cabaret, but those tickets have already sold out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there is a waiting list. If you want to join the waiting list, we do have a waiting list for it. They're so impressed by it that we've actually already booked them for next year. So nice. They're doing a show in May because clearly there's people in the community who want to see locals put together a cabaret.
Yeah.
That's another couple that come in and rehearse during the day. So every once in a while, if you stop by, you might just catch them playing the piano and singing.
That's so cool.
Just rehearsing for their show. So it's been really fun to listen and hear and watch over the last couple months that show start to come together as they're rehearsing and practicing. But yeah, there's so much going on. I can't even remember what else to tell you right now.
I mean, there's so much, and you guys have everything and more on your website, so people can go on and check out the classes. And there's fiber classes, there's painting, there's ceramics, there's everything. There's
and we're always looking for volunteers. So if there is some kind of pocket that you would like to join us and volunteer, if it's helping with a concert, helping with the Heartworks, helping with the Cab Kids programming, we'd love to have that. And we are a nonprofit, so we do the best that we can to keep things as affordable as we possibly can. So donations are always excellent. I was telling Foster before, I was working on the budget, and I realized, it costs a lot of money to make those things happen.
Yeah.
And we try really hard to not charge too much for people to come. So, donations and fundraisers are how we try to make that happen.
Yeah, and there's a lot of different sponsorship opportunities with the Bauer Center. And if you're not able to donate financially, you can always donate art supplies.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We've got the free little art library. Wynn, who is one of our volunteers, has taken that over as her own project.
That's awesome.
So she keeps it stocked and figured out. If you've got stuff, drop them off.
Yeah. And we'll be at the Bauer Center on November 6th for speed networking.
I'll be there.
Yeah, I know you will. Yay. Well, so there's lots of opportunities. Come check it out. But you can also just go by.
Yeah.
There's lots of things to see. And you've got your next exhibit coming up next week.
Next week, yeah.
Yeah. So get in there. Go check it out. Well, Ryan, thank you so much for joining me today. And if you've already mentioned how people can kind of get in touch with you specifically, but if they want to come, just inquire about the Bauer Center generally.
So just info@bowercenter.org. And Susan and I both manage that email account.
Okay.
So it's kind of sometimes whoever gets there fastest or whoever knows more about the question that they're asking.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking.
Of course. Well, if you want to learn more about us at the Chamber, you can give us a call at 540-586-9401, or you can visit our website, bedfordareachamber.com, for information about our mission and the perks of becoming a member. But also on our website is a full directory of our membership, which is helpful for finding all sorts of great things in the region, including the Bauer Center for the Arts. But that's all for today. Thanks so much for listening, and keep an ear out for the next Chamber Vibes podcast.